In this video, I'll show you the steps I went through to install this Southern Style Off-Road Slimline winch bumper on my 2020 4Runner. There are a lot of steps to the job, but none of them were all that difficult or required any special tools. I completed the installation over the course of several days, where I could squeeze in a couple hours here and a couple hours there, but uninterrupted, I probably could have installed this in about 6 hours. I was able to do just about all the work myself, except for when I needed help from my son to hold the bumper in place. Without further ado, here is the video of my installation. Well, I got the bumper on this furniture cart and clamped down, but I see that there's a bend in one of the rails that align to the radiator support is bent. So it's straight on this side, it's bent on the other. I guess that happened during shipping. So hopefully I can get this straightened out without too much trouble. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get the fairlead installed first before I mount this winch up. So take the bolts that came with the kit and get it on. The light bar, we got some hardware. Just look for the instructions and we'll get it mounted. No instructions came with the light bar, and there are no instructions from Southern Style Off-Road either. But I'm assuming I need to mount the light bar, of course, to these tabs using a bolt on each end. So I'll use some of this supplied hardware, figure out the best way to get it mounted. Well, the bolts that came with the light bar were a bit too long to fit in the rails of the bumper and not bottom out in the light bar. So what I had to do is cut a couple of the bolts down. I'll get these cleaned up and we'll see how they fit. See that gap on the from the right side of the inside of the bumper. Then we go over to this other side and we have less clearance. Because of that, I can't even get the bolt head in there with the washer on it. I really don't want to put just the bolt head on and not the washer. So I'm going to see if I could bend that tab out just a little bit so that I can squeeze that in there. Okay, well, I bent that tab a little bit. Just used a long screwdriver. It was actually easier than I thought it would be, so just bend it out a little bit so now that fits in there. I got it in on the other side. I'll straighten it out and tighten it up. Okay, light bar is on, fairlead's on. Now's the time to get the winch actually installed, so we'll tackle that next. Okay, got the winch mounted on the bumper. I guess I failed to mention this is a Smittybilt X20. It's a 9,600 pound bumper. Got it on Amazon. Got it secured to the base. I got the line run through the fairlead. Got the cables moved out of the way. So this thing's ready to go. It's ready to be mounted. Next thing I need to do is take the plastic bumper off the TRD Pro and mark off where I need to do some cutting and start on that process, taking out the OEM front end bumper. These are the resources we're going to be using for the installation. The first resource is from Southern Style Off-Road's website, the installation instructions for the Slimline bumper. Now the instructions they say they're specific for the 2014 and above SR5 and Trail Edition. Of course, that's not what we have. I have a TRD Pro 2020. But for the most part, these instructions apply. I do know 2020 has some added things that I need to take care of, like ensuring that the Toyota Safety Sense sensor in the front grille is detached. Also, there is the bottom plate for the bumper, for the slimline bumper, needs to be removed so that there's no interference with the TRD Pro skid plate. Another resource that I'll be making use of is my friends on YouTube from Wanderlost Overland. They have done this installation before on their 2017 4Runner. They've documented the steps very well, and I've probably watched this video 100 times in preparation for my install. Okay, so we got the hood open now, and the first step is to take off this cover here. And to do that, you've probably seen this on videos a million times. Push in on the little button, make sure it's pushed in all the way. You pull it out, you put it in the container so you don't lose it. Keep going down the line until you get them all out, and then this cover should pop out. Let's just take a few minutes and take a look around. You see this thing right here in the 2020, besides all the bugs. In the 2020 and newer 4Runners, they have this Toyota Safety Sense monitor that is attached. And what we're going to have to do now that we have that cover off, the radiator cover off, is we're going to have to go under here. Whoops, let me see if I can get a better shot. Unplug this harness so that that doesn't get us any snags when we take this off. So we're going to take all this plastic from bumper out. We're going to take off this valance, I guess it's called. We're going to mark off around it with the marker where we need to cut, and then we're going to take the Dremel and hack that off nice and clean. So that's the plan. And there we go, it is off. So let's take a look, see what we got here now that the plastic bumper cover is removed. You see this crash bar right here with this nice styrofoam protection here, that's all gonna come off. So we gotta take these bolts out here and over there and on the other side, and then this thing should pop off. And that's what the new bumper is gonna attach to. Here I'm taking the air dam ductwork off of each side of the radiator. Southern Style says to take them off. I've seen some videos where people have cut them to make room for the new bumper. Others have removed them altogether, and those who have not reported any issues, so I'm going to go ahead and take them off. The black front valance is the exact template for where I need to cut. I'll run a marker alongside the top and a bit down the sides, outlining the bumper valance. Now that I know where to cut, I'll flip the bumper cover over and I'll remove the clips holding the bumper valance in place. These clips just pop out pretty easy with a screwdriver, or you can even do it with your fingers. With the clips removed, I'll flip the bumper cover back over again and remove the bumper valance. Now comes the most stressful part of the job. I'm using a Dremel and I'm cutting along the line I just made, nice and carefully. Now I'll get the plastic bumper cover back installed. It's a little tricky. I gotta get it hung up there, then it pops right back in. Here I am putting the weather stripping on to kind of hide and conceal the jagged edges left behind from cutting. It really does kind of clean things up and make it look nice and finished. So here we go, got the trim on all the way around. It's looking good. I stacked some wood on a box on top of a furniture cart in order to get the bumper close to the right height. I could then just slide the bumper into place and align the holes on the radiator support on both sides. I'll just get these bolts started and leave them loose for now. I then enlisted the help of my 15-year-old son to pick up the front of the bumper so that I can get a few of the bolts started on the front frame rail. With a few of these bolts in place, but still loose, I can safely now remove the furniture cart and get that out of the way. Now that the bumper's on, I need to install the plastic bumper reinforcement brackets. These brackets are side-specific, meaning there's one for the right and one for the left. These do really provide good reinforcement of the plastic bumper cover, and it's nice that they're included. With everything installed, I'll make sure all the bolts attached to the front of the frame rail and the radiator support are torqued down to Southern style off-road specifications. Just want to take a quick look now that I got everything installed. So looking down behind the bumper, as you can see, this line here comes really close to the control box on the winch. I loosened up the bolts that hold this thing on either side and pivoted it back a bit. And I put this kind of ugly looking protector here temporarily until I get something better here, but just really wanted to protect this line from chafing up against the control box. But I could almost stick my finger under here, so it's got some clearance, but just in case it gets too close. I've got the wires for both the winch and the light bar wrapped up and secured. The winch wires are connected directly to the battery posts, and the light bar is connected to my Switch Pro. Okay, here's the finished product. Everything's mounted, wired up, everything's working. Get the Fairlead on, got the Factor 55 flat link winch shackle mount installed. Everything's fitting under there nice, not interfering with the TRD Pro skid plate. So all in all, a successful mod. So all in all, it wasn't that difficult of a job. There's definitely a lot to do, but I would just recommend chunking it out and not rushing through the process. I was thinking if I had to do this all over again, what would I do differently? The main thing I would do differently is I would probably not replace the plastic bumper cover until I had the bumper installed and the bolts installed and torqued down. And not having the bumper cover would help in getting the holes lined up. It would have given me more room to tighten things down. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thanks, and see you next time.